how's it going? My name is Toya, and in case you couldn't read the title, yes, we're going to be talking about Detroit Become Human. Now, I understand that this game came out in 2018 of May, and I am late to the game. I understand that, but I'm black, and black people are always late for everything. But I finally had an opportunity to actually play the game. I've been playing it all last year. And I really enjoyed it, and I really wanted to talk about it. I wanted to make a video last year, but things had happened. And then I wanted to make a video earlier this year, but other things have happened. And yeah, my life has been a whirlwind of this chaos and destruction. But you know what? I'm in a good mood. I'm feeling happy, and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. Let me go ahead and make this video while I got a smile on my face. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so like I said, I started playing this game last year. There's gonna be some spoiler alerts, but honestly, not that many spoiler alerts, because those of you that have played the game know that there are 3 characters that you play, and each character has different endings. And all the endings, there's like 85 different endings to this game, so I can't spoil it too much, but we'll see how much I can spoil it, okay? So like I said before, there are 3 characters in these games, right? So basically this game is about a bunch of androids. Androids are like robots who work for human beings. In the game, they call them slaves. I guess you can use that terminology. In the game, they call them slaves. I'm just gonna call them robots. I'm not gonna say the slave word. Anyways, so you have these 3 characters. You play a character called Connor. Now, Connor works for CyberLife. Actually, all the androids are made from CyberLife. But one thing about Connor is made by CyberLife, and he's the only character in the game that can actually die and come back. Because he works for CyberLife, he works with his department to find out about these androids who turn deviant. Now, what does turn deviant mean? Turn deviant means that these robots basically get a personality. You remember that movie, Johnny 5? I love that movie, by the way. It's such a great movie. When he gets hit by lightning and he becomes alive and everything else, and he has like a personality. This is pretty much that. Whereas like all these androids who become deviant get a personality because they no longer listen to their worker or the owners and everything else like that. Each android has to have some kind of an owner and everything else in order to be able to do their job. Whereas deviants, well, they don't have to. They do their own thing. So Connor is the only, like I said, Connor is the only character that can die because you basically get replaced with a new Connor. Also, Connor is the only android in the game that can choose to be a deviant or stay an android. So Connor gets paired up with a police officer named Lieutenant Anderson. Lieutenant Anderson, he's a very good police officer, but something happened to him in his past that had caused him to do a lot of drinking. He does a lot of drinking to forget about what had happened in this past and everything else. You know, like some of us, we all have that situations where something happens to us, and instead of just dealing with it, we try to hide it with drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever it is, or friends or anything else that just hides the fact going through this problem, and you don't want to deal with it, so you hide and you get a vice. So that's pretty much what Lieutenant Anderson is. And like I said, he goes in there. He doesn't like androids, right? He's not a big fan of androids. Eventually, he changes his mind about androids. And eventually, there comes a time, depending on... This game is one of those games where you have to, like, choose the right answer. Because whatever the answers that you choose, it goes through the path of which one you're going to be taking. You know what I mean? So you have to choose the right answers. There's some stuff where you actually have to choose the exact right answers, otherwise you will fail the mission. But like, you have an opportunity to talk. It's kind of like the game that I played on Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands, where I had to choose the answer. The only difference between this game and that game is that I think that game, the ending pretty much is mostly the same. No matter what way you pick, it's mostly the same. Whereas this game, there's different endings. Like Connor has 13 different endings, so Connor by far is my favorite character in this game. I love Connor. I think he's hilarious. I think he's funny. He's like a little bit of like a nerdish type of guy, and he's just a geek. But I fucking love me some Connor. Let me tell you. Oh my god, my favorite character in the game. But like I said, you know, Connor can choose between being a deviant and an android later on in the game. You have another character named Kara. Kara is a housekeeper slash kind of a babysitter. Kara is owned by a guy named Todd. Todd is a fucking asshole. Okay? Let me just say that he is an asshole. I hate fucking Todd. Like, I want to break Todd's neck. Okay? I can say this because it's it's a character, not a person. Okay? But Todd is an asshole. He's a drug addict. There's, the drug of choice in this game is called red ice. I think it's called red ice, and that's pretty much what a lot of the humans take and everything else. But Todd is like, he's a drug addict, he's an alcoholic, I don't know if he has a job. I think he might have a job doing taxi, I'm not sure, or even selling drugs or some shit like that. I'm not even sure what Todd's job is, but apparently it's enough money to buy an android. Now, when you first see Kara, you don't actually see Kara. You play Kara as kind of like a first person. This game is a third person, but you play her as a first person because you'll be able to like move around your head to look around the room and everything like that. And you're in a store, and there's you see two guys approaching you. One looks like a guy who looks like he's in the owner of the store or the worker of the store. He's like in a uniform, and then you see some other guy who's scraggly and everything else, and, you know, beard and everything else, like with all this other shit. This looks like he's been on a bender. And, you know, he's like, the guy in the store is like, oh yeah, we fixed her up, we had her change her memory and everything like that, or reprogram her and all this other stuff. And he asked the guy, you know, what happened to her, and Todd basically says that Kara got hit by a car and everything else. Basically, you go to Todd's house, you get reintroduced to a little girl named Alice, who happens to be Todd's daughter, and who also gets treated badly by Todd as well. And you basically, you're the housekeeper, so you're cleaning the house and everything else like that. So I must add also that during this game, you have to find clues and unlock things and stuff like that. You'll see a little lock thing and it'll open up and everything else. I mean, there's a lock. I mean, that could be something that could be used later on in the game. So how does Kara turn deviant? Because I don't want to spoil everything about this game. Kara turns deviant when she's serving dinner to Todd and Alice, and basically Todd is basically bitching about androids. Let me just tell you that a lot of humans in this game will be bitching about the androids. Except for like maybe like a couple of them, but a lot of them will be bitching about androids. I don't know why. It is what it is. He starts bitching about androids, and he basically turns over and he looks at her daughter and he starts yelling at her, basically saying that, you know, oh, you know, this ain't the life you thought it was going to be and everything else and all this other stuff. And basically he ends up flipping the table over and grabbing Alice and pretty much picking her up and starts yelling at her and stuff like that, eventually slapping her. Now, I don't actually see Todd slapping Alice. What it does is, she picks her up, he slaps her, but he turns to Kara, and Kara's eyes widen up. So then Alice goes and runs into her room. So naturally, as a parent myself, my natural instinct is to go check on Alex, right? Because as a person playing the game, I have a children of my own, I'm going there, I want to go and check on Alex. So you head towards upstairs, and Todd says, do not move. Todd is your master. Todd is your owner. You have to listen to Todd. Don't listen to Todd. Todd will basically beat the shit out of you and you'll die, and that will be the end of the game for Kara. She doesn't come back. So then you'll see Todd pacing back and forth in the background, right? You can move you don't move your body, but you can actually move around and look, and you can see Todd back and forth. And basically, Todd will get up really upset. He'll get his belt and he will go upstairs to go beat the shit out of Alice. Now, this is the time for you to move, because if you don't move, then Todd is gonna gonna kill fucking Alice and fucking you, and the game's over. So. So then you move over. Now, let me say this. Like I said before, there are things that you unlocked. In the beginning of the game, when you're playing Kara and you're doing the housework, there are things that are being unlocked. You're going to unlock where Todd keeps his gun. You're going to unlock where you can climb out the window. If you have a good relationship with Alice, you can also unlock another thing that I will not mention, but as well as to escape the house, because you're going to need to escape the house eventually, because you're going to go after Kara is about to go after Todd, and Todd was basically the one that beat the shit out of Kara. She didn't get hit by a car. Todd beat her up, and that's how she got broken. So anyways, you go upstairs, you go into your now. If you get the gun, chances are either Kara kills Todd, or eventually Alice will grab the gun, because Kara will drop the gun. Alice will grab the gun and kill Todd. Now, if you kill Todd, you do not see Todd for the rest of the game. Todd is dead. He ain't coming back. They ain't no hallelujah. He ain't coming back the third day to risen again. He ain't Jesus H. Christ. So he's not coming back. But if you don't kill Todd, he eventually comes back later on in the game, while Kara, Alice, and another person tries to escape and go to Canada. So basically, that is the goal for Alice and Kara, is to go to Canada. They go and they get into these little adventures. They might get kidnapped. They might not get kidnapped. They might die. They might not die. Depends on how you play the game and everything else and all this other stuff. Actually, you have an opportunity to find out that, spoiler alert, Alice is actually a robot too, right? Just like Kara is. So Kara has to decide whether she wants to leave Alice and this other person at this place, or stay. So you have that opportunity. You have that opportunity not once but twice in the game. So the last character I want to talk about is Marcus. Marcus is a black robot who works for a guy named Carl. Carl is an old man in a wheelchair who's a very famous painter who's absolutely rich. Now, Carl doesn't really treat Marcus as a worker. Kind of treats him like it's like his son. You know what I'm saying? Treats him very well. It's kind of like a son taking care of his elderly father. I think out of all the androids in this game that you played, I think Marcus has like the best life ever, because he works with this guy and he's really sweet, really kind, he's very protective and everything else. Treats him like his son. It's a beautiful thing and everything else. By the way, Carl is a white guy. How Marcus becomes a deviant is because Carl has a son, another son named Leo, and basically Leo pushes Marcus to the edge. Maybe the one thing I don't like about this part of the game when Marcus becomes deviant is because depending on how he becomes deviant, it depends, right? So you have two choices. So basically, Leo. Later, in the beginning, Leo asked Dad for money because Leo is actually a drug addict, and he's a big-time drug addict and everything else. And when you're a drug addict, you spend the money real quickly. So then obviously Dad says no and everything else. So then Carl and Marcus come back from like a party. Carl asks, Marcus, "Hey, did you leave the light on in the studio?" And Marcus is like, "No, I don't believe I did." And Carl's like, "Called 911. So, robot, he called 911 and said that there's an intruder in the house, blah, blah, blah. And they go to see what's going on in the room before the cops come, and it turns out that it was Leo, the son, who was stealing like some of Carl's paintings, sculptures, things like that. And, Carl told Marcus, stop him, right? And everything else. So you're not violent, right? You're gonna say, hey, please put the things down and everything else. Like, you have a choice of what you're gonna say to this person eventually. Leo starts pushing on Marcus, right? And Carl tells you not to defend yourself. So there's like words, right? By the way, I might add, there are words. They'll say, do not defend yourself, don't do this, right? And everything else. There are words on the screen if you play on like casual. I don't think it's there if you play on expert. But there are words on the screen, you play casual. And you play and you don't defend yourself, right? You don't defend yourself. Even though you have an option to defend yourself. If you defend yourself, you defend yourself. If you don't, you don't. But Carl will tell you not to defend yourself, so you listen to Carl. Like, he is your owner, he owns you, so you have to listen to him. Eventually, Leo keeps pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. Eventually, you have an opportunity to either push Leo or don't do anything, right? But as he's pushing you, you're going into deviant mode right now. So he's pushing you, and there's like a red little screen. You have like to push a bunch of buttons, everything like that. So then it gives you an option of do something or don't do something, right? Here's the thing that made me a little bit upset, right? Because in the game, it says do not, don't do nothing. If you don't do anything, eventually Carl will die because Carl will have a heart attack because of all the excitement and everything like that. Leo will blame, the cop will finally show up, and Leo will blame you, saying that you did that, like Marcus did it, and the character gets shot. Obviously he doesn't die, but it's kind of like, okay, let me just say that this game is placed in Detroit, obviously, and it's placed in 2036 or some shit like that. Do they not have like what do you call it, how the person dies, like the cause of death, right? And it's like, y'all don't get no, they don't get no chance to like say, well, I didn't do anything, he had a heart attack or anything like that. It's like, I don't know, right? Are they shooting him? Did they kill him? Or they try to kill him because he's a robot? Or did he try to kill him because he's black? I have no idea. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, don't they have cause of death? Like, we have DNA. This is supposed to be 2036, right? So how is he, like, in charge? Or how is it his fault that Carl had a heart attack and died from excitement? It's like they should have both went to, like, jail or Android jail or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, it's like, it makes more sense if you defend yourself. Now, if you push if you push, what's his face, Leo, you end up killing him, right? And then Carl will tell you to run. You don't run. You don't go anywhere. You end up getting shot anyway. It doesn't matter which one you choose, you're going to get shot. And then you end up in a pit full of androids. And so now you have to get out of the pit, and once you get out of the pit, you go to a place called Jericho. Jericho is a place basically where all the androids turn deviant go to. Now, eventually, all three of these characters, at one way, point or another, will see each other. Some way, somehow, we would cross paths with each other. Now, Connor and Marcus, there's one or two ways things could happen. If Connor and Marcus get together, they can either, like I said before, Connor had the opportunity to become deviant. So Marcus could convince Connor, which basically you choose whether or not if Connor is convincible, and basically they'll start talking back and forth. Now you have to choose answers for Marcus, and you have to choose answers for Connor. Now I don't know what happens if you say Connor is gonna stay an android. I don't know how that fight scene goes or anything else like that, because I have played this game where I say Connor as an android, but Marcus wasn't the person I was talking to. There was another person named North that became a leader of Jericho. So see, first it was Simon. Some guy named Simon was the leader of Jericho. Simon either lives or dies. If Simon dies, Marcus becomes the leader of Jericho. If Marcus dies, then North becomes the leader of Jericho, and you talk to her, and you can either join her or you can fight her. So I don't know what the fight scene is for Marcus and Connor, but I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if you play both. I don't know, you have to choose. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I wish I could. I wish I know. But I had Marcus. I had Connor join Marcus. So depending on the game and when people die and how long you can go the game is actually pretty extensively long. As like I said, it depends on where everybody dies at. If Marcus dies, Connor is no longer probably needed in anything else like that. Now, if Connor stays an android, he'll eventually have to kill Marcus some way, somehow. Even if Connor turns deviant, he'll eventually try to kill Marcus, because Connor will get overprogrammed by Cyberlife by a chick named Amanda, who basically owns like part of Cyberlife or something like that. And she will basically tell you, well, thanks Connor, you did all this stuff, now you're gonna have to kill Marcus. So in this part of the game, you have to try and get to a stone to basically unprogram yourself to not kill Marcus. One of the reasons why I don't really like the character Marcus that much, because honestly, the character reminds me of like BLM's Antifa member people and everything else. And I also might mention that this game did come out in 2018. So there is a woman president there who kind of looks like the president candidate of 2016 who tried to run. I'm just saying, whatever. Anyways, but the game is actually a pretty good game and everything else. Like I said, there's like I said before, I really enjoyed the game. I've known of so in each character, like I said, there's like 85 different endings. I think Connor has 13, Kara has 39, and I think Marcus has 33. I know of 3 for each player. So yeah, I definitely have my workout, because I'm kind of want to know what all 85 endings are. I don't know if the endings are all the way to the ending. Maybe they get killed, maybe they live and stuff like that. I know that eventually there's 2 ways. Kara, she wants to go to Canada to be a mom to Alice and everything else and live a regular life, and I think that's beautiful. And then Marcus, he wants basically to free all the androids and have them have like android rights and be like human beings and everything else like that. And Connor, depending on how you choose Connor to be, he eventually becomes a deviant. He might I might add that if Connor becomes an android, eventually he'll fight Lieutenant Anderson, and either he kills you or you kill him or whatever. But one of the cool moments that I really enjoyed when Connor becomes deviant, Lieutenant Anderson helps him try to like wake up the other androids and all this other stuff. Eventually, at the end of the video, you get the credits and everything else like that. After the end of the credits, you see Lieutenant Android and Connor, and they give a big hug, and I'm just like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like, I wanted to cry and everything else. I thought that was great. Like, I love that ending. It was a fantastic ending. But I really enjoyed the game. I played it a lot. I tried to give it a rest, because I was like, okay, I'm binging on this too darn hard now. I need to give it up, right? So, but if you haven't played it yet, you should go ahead and try it. I think it's a great game. I think it's a great storyline. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of my Tales of Borderlands or my Beyond Two Souls game, where you pick and choose and everything else. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We're back. I'm back. We're gonna be doing, obviously we're gonna do some more wrestling. Now I don't know if I'm putting the video out before or after Rumble, but if it's before Rumble, we'll see you at Rumble. If it's not before Rumble, if it's after Rumble, we'll see you on the post show of Rumble. And also I think me, Tim, and another person might be playing some video games together. I'm not sure yet. I'll let you know for sure. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.